Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus bringing you another Total War Warhammer tournament battle. This one was submitted to me along with a couple other replays we're going to be looking at by Ondjage. This was the Dark Gods 3 tournament final between Ondjage and Andypoop. So let's go ahead and check this out. Ondjage brings a very unusual build with 4 Knights of the Blazing Sun, 3 launchers, a steam tank, and a general of the Empire. So very unusual. Looking at Andypoop here, he's got big bosses, or Night Goblin Shaman I should say. He's got Orc Boar Boy Biggins and the Regiment of Renown version, 6 goblins, well ranked up. He's got 3 Squig Herd, and I'm not sure what we missed there. I hate how that goes by so quick sometimes, but you can see his full composition laid out here. But let's start off by taking a look at what Ondjage did here. So like I said, a very very untraditional build. He has 2 of his Knights of the Blazing Sun hid in the forest on the left here. I have a feeling this is a map specific build, but I could be wrong. Amber Wizard, General of the Empire are both flying. Here he has an Outrider with grenade launchers hidden. Steam tank on the hill here. Hidden behind it are 2 Knights of the Blazing Sun. And hidden just in front of Andypoop's deployment zone here are 2 Outriders with grenade launchers. Now the layout for Andypoop's greenskins here, much more traditional. He's got his goblins and night goblins up front, followed up by the Squig Herd, followed up by a ton of orc biggins. Behind that he has some nasty skulkers. He's got his cav in the rear, and as well as his leaders, his leader and heroes. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. Now, right off the bat, with how unusual this build is and the uphill, I'll be very curious to see how he makes this work. So let's go ahead and take a look. So it looks like Andypoop's going to go ahead and advance, and right away we're going to get some grenade launching Outrider action here. They hit the trees some, but they're getting a lot of fire into the line here. And grenade launchers do a lot of damage, and they have a pretty darn good amount of ammo. The difficulty is, you know, they can't fire while moving, and they must be facing their target, and they do have a pretty slow firing animation or whatever, like a reload and the whole 9 yards. But it looks like he's just going to keep pulling them back and firing off every chance he gets. It looks like he's aiming for these night goblins at the moment. Yep, he's going to pick off some of those. Some more explosions. They're definitely fun to watch. In the meantime, it looks like he's creeping up with his steam tank. He's got these Outriders over here firing at Andy's flank here, getting some of the Orc Biggins beat up a bit. But now here's going to come some of the Cav, and also the Goblin Big Boss, which is going to give some speed, as well as Squigs. We can see the Squig Herds chasing the Outriders down the hill. They're quite quick, quite nasty, and if they get a hold of these guys, I imagine they're going to give them a hard time. Over here on the right, we see the Cav is chasing off the steam tank here a bit. On the left, the Squig Herd decide to pull off to the side here, but the Outriders are going to get shots on them. But I think they're pulling away because they see the Knights of the Blazing Sun coming out. They are going to be able to make pretty quick work of these guys. Look how fast the Squig Herd just melt in the face of the General of the Empire and the Knights of the Blazing Sun. We even get a couple of grenades getting fired into the fair. So Andy's brought the vast majority of the right side of his line to the right of Ondjage. Looks like he's focusing on the steam tank. These Knights of the Blazing Sun are retreating up the hill, as are the other unit, and it looks like he's keeping his Amber Wizard out of the fray as much as possible. But one of the Orc Boar Boy Biggins looks pretty beat up at this point. Steam tank, though's got quite a contingent pounding on it right now. Looks like we have some magic coming down. Itchy Nuisance from the greenskins. Outriders up here with the grenade launchers are being chased ever so slowly by the Orc Biggins up the snowy slope. Over here it looks like they've got a nice surround on these 2 Orc Biggins that fell behind the rest of the pack, and between the fire from the grenade launchers and the presence of the terrifying General of the Empire, they're going to opt to run, which is just going to make them even more vulnerable to the Knights of the Blazing Sun that are charging in. So not a good day for those guys. But over here, let's take a look. The Knights of the Blazing Sun, both units pretty beat up, one pulling out, and the steam tank is running as well, having lost almost half of its life. One cool thing though is, like a tank, it can fire backwards while it's running away, so it doesn't have to be facing its target, so it is blasting away a bit there. But just a huge contingent here, a mob, and that's got to be favoring and looking from the damage. I'm guessing we've had some of the Flock of Doom come down on that big herd, and that's going to hurt them for sure. And the Amber Wizard is armed with it, so we can't help but think they've used it. This unit of the Knight of the Blazing Sun, Ondjage, has continued to keep in reserve. Right now, the balance of power hasn't shifted either way. These Outriders are getting hunted down by the Orc Boy Biggins, but the General of the Empire is going to offer relief. But look how quickly they lose health. And this is one of the many hard things about using Outriders is if somebody gets a hold of them, they will get butchered quickly. So over here, again, the steam tank facing tons of opposition. Some Outriders firing into the crowd, but I don't think that's going to be enough to disperse this or save the steam tank, which looks like it's about ready to blow at any moment. A huge Flock of Doom here. It's just going to get a ton of units since they've decided to swarm around the tank. And it looks like the tank is no longer with us. Nope, it is a smoldering ruin. Some Outriders over here are firing into the crowd. The Amber Wizard comes down to fight the Knights of the Blazing Sun just to hold them in place, while more Knights of the Blazing Sun come into the battle. Not much else going on around the map. A lot of retreated units or small skirmishes, but this is where the main battle's coming down. We can see the Hulk of the tank is surrounded by greenskins who are fighting against the Knights of the Blazing Sun and taking some fire. As you can see, these explosions are the grenades from the Outriders. It looks like they're doing good work. 127 kills on these guys, and they've only used about half of their ammo. Absolutely amazing. And again, we end up with another blob, which is just going to favor the Outriders and the Amber Wizard. They're just going to be able to do a ton of damage. So looks like Andy is kind of falling a bit into Ondjage's trap. But like I said, the balance of power is still pretty evenly split, and Ondjage does not have much left on the field. So maybe maybe this plan is not going to work. However, the Knights of the Blazing Sun find some retreating units over here. Going to give them a little escort off the field. Looks like the Outriders finally got the better of the big guns and are clearing them off the field. The flying crew had been doing the same up here to these Orc Boy Biggins. So again, we've got just this large crew, but they're slow moving. Look at the speed. Not going to be good with Outriders firing at them, flying units coming at them, Cav around. Looks like he's going to try to retreat, Andypoop that is, and going to pull into the forest, give himself some protection from flying and from the Outriders. But it looks like the big part of his army is going to get caught by the flying corps here. Outriders are firing into another considerable amount of units here. These Knights of the Blazing Sun, 74 kills. These Outriders only 14, so not as successful as some of their brethren. 200 kills right here on this unit. Unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen Outriders with grenade launchers used that well. The balance power finally starting to shift, and it looks like it's a little bit in favor of Ondjage. Will this play of moving and consolidating his forces into the forest pay off for Andy, or is this going to be a big no-no? It looks like the cavalry, missile and otherwise, is gathering around them like vultures expecting a corpse. We'll have to see what both sides plan to do with that. Otherwise, we just have some fleeing units of very little life left roaming around. It looks like he's using the Amber Wizard of Ondjage is being used to clean up some of these guys. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the last bastion, the last stand of Andy's Orc greenskin army here. Again, they're getting moved in on, crept on. Looks like you're going to send out their... Oh, nope, just a bit of a feint there to try to chase them off. More grenades are going to come into this infantry line. These guys have taken a heck of a beating already. But the leadership, the leader and the big bosses, they still have quite a lot of bit of health. They look very healthy. Ooh, so some of the Outriders get chased off by Broken Tusk Mob, but then they're going to get chased off by the Manticore. So an interesting exchange there. Again, cav gathering on this side. It looks like there's still some skirmish activity happening up along the hill here, trying to limit, it would appear Ondjage is trying to limit Andy to just what he has here in the forest. Very wise. I feel like he's kind of painting him into a corner. We're going to see some more grenades. Some are hitting trees, but some are hitting greenskins and doing some pretty darn impressive damage. 41 kills for those Outriders, 217 for these fellas back here. So they've had quite a time. Looks like the leaders of the greenskins came out for a while to try to put a hurt on some of and get some sort of an offensive going against Ondjage, but they're going to be pulled back into the forest. So it looks like Ondjage is waiting for his men to solidify a bit and to get any other units off the field that he can, and then make a final push at what we have here in the forest. I have to admit, when I saw the composition that Ondjage brought, I just didn't know how it was going to work, but so far it looks like it's pretty darn effective. He does have the bar in his favor as far as the balance bar. So it looks like he's going to come in, boom, put down an upgraded, or nope, a regular flock of Doom. That's going to do a lot of damage with how clustered up they were. And as you can see, all of his infantry units have virtually nothing left. More grenade fire coming in. Hard to believe some of these greenskins are staying in the fight, like these goblins, for example. But it looks like they're having second thoughts. The night goblins, I forget the name of these, but it doesn't show it properly. It's a bug. They are unbreakable, so only killing them all is going to get that done. More grenades coming into the main body of the greenskins. Not looking good. It looks like everything else has been chased off. They're entirely pinned in. The force does seem to be helping them some, but the question is, how long can they stand here and take this kind of fire, or are they going to be subjected to it until there's virtually no ammo left? A good bit of ammo left on this unit here. It looks like the ones in the that were in behind here have run out of ammo. Oh, nope, we do have ammo here as well. So the greenskins, you gotta give them some credit for courage. Look how beat up these units are. So little health, so little models, but they're sticking in there. I think the bravery is unquestionable, but the thing that is almost unthinkable is how could they possibly win? What can they do to reverse the tide? Standing here is not going well. They're getting surrounded. Another flock of Doom comes down. Absolutely merciless Ondjage with his flock of Dooms. Here comes his cavalry. Looks like he's going to go for the big crunch. They're coming in. The flying contingent dives in on his leadership group. Looks like the infantry of Andy are breaking quickly under the Knights of the Sun. Too much pressure there. However, his leadership group here, the Goblin, Night Goblin War Boss, the Goblin Big Boss, is fighting strong. It looks like Ondjage pulling virtually everything in to try to break them, wavering on the Night Goblin War Boss. That could spell disaster for the greenskins. If he decides to run, the rest are going to go with him, and there it is. He is broken. The rest are going to chain route, and we have a win for Ondjage and the Empire. Good matchup there between two very highly rated players. Very asymmetrical, a very standard, build and play out of Andy. No less good though, and then something extremely unusual out of Ondjage. Obviously, a build and a strategy that requires very good micro skills when you have such soft units as Outriders with grenade launchers. The ability to keep them out of range of your opponent is so key, and I think Andy would have been a lot better served if he had some missiles that may have really been able to help him with this, or even possibly some artillery. But looking at the tail of the tape, the Knights of the Blazing Sun did extremely well, as did the Outriders. 230 kills on this one. The Steam Tank, very much it underperformed on the damage, but what it did do was get attracted a giant cluster around itself, which allowed for the success of the Outriders, and to some degree the Knights of the Blazing Sun. So I'd say they served their purpose, as did the leadership group. The Flock of Dooms were absolutely absolutely brutal. Looking at Andy's army, very ubiquitous across the board. Just a lot of trouble getting kills, but 273 deployed. They killed half of them. So, for example, killing 25 or 14 or 21 is a very good performance. But all in all, just you had ultimate speed and maneuverability here, and what maneuverability that Andy had. Ondjage was very sure to cripple it early on, including the Squig Herd and the Orc Board Boy Biggins. So great game to both players. I want to thank Ondjage for sending me this replay. He sent me some more that you're going to be seeing in the coming days. I'm working with many of the top players now to bring you replays of some of the best players so we can take a look at their builds, their micro, their talent, not just to appreciate it, but also to learn from it, to dissect it, and find out what we can learn to be a better player. And here what we saw was micro, terrain, and maneuverability with a very small army can overcome a much larger greenskin army. So if you enjoyed the battle, you like seeing top players, or you learned something, please hit like, please hit subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. I want to grow this thing. I can only do that with your help. So we got to be a team on this, and it doesn't cost you a thing to like or subscribe, so please do. Until the next time, this is the Magnus, and I'll see you on the ladder.